Hey there, thank you for listening to the Big Time Talker Podcast. I'm Burke Allen, your host, and we're live today in beautiful San Diego, the home of the American Library Association's annual conference and exhibition. And if you happen to be in this beautiful city and you come into the San Diego Convention Center, you'll see us smack dab in the middle of all the action. Thousands of readers, thousands of librarians, thousands of authors, thousands of speakers. And by the way, if you're a speaker, maybe you're an author, you like to talk about your book in front of audiences, our show is sponsored by SpeakerMatch.com. They're the world's largest online virtual speakers bureau. And maybe you're a meeting planner and you want, I don't know, a children's book author, for example, to come in and talk to your group. Well, you can find one another at the robust online platform at SpeakerMatch.com. Hey, we have new episodes of our podcast uploaded every Tuesday at Spotify, at iHeart, Apple iTunes, wherever you get your podcast. Thanks to our friends at Headline Books and Zoom Into Books for having us come out to San Diego and talk to great authors like our guest, Judy De Young. She has a book called Fright. It's a great kid's book. I love the artwork in this, Judy. Hey, welcome into the studio.
Thank you so much.
So, for folks who haven't read Fright, what's it about?
So Fright is about a little monster
Yes.
named Marley. Marley is nocturnal. So in the morning, as the sun rises, he needs to brush his fangs and get ready for bed. May I?
You may. We have a copy of the book right here with us.
Yeah. So he's with his mommy, brushing his fangs.
I love it.
Yeah. Instead of good night moon, they read good
Morning sun, of course. Everything's backwards.
Yeah. But he's afraid that there are kids hiding everywhere. So he doesn't want to go to sleep.
This is like Bizarro World for little kids. Everything's backwards.
Exactly. Upside down and topsy-turvy. So one by one, each of his family members, which are all like a different type of Halloween type.
You got your
characters.
ghosts, you got your goblins.
Yeah.
Yep.
They come in and they say, there's no such thing as children. And he
I love
doesn't
it.
believe them. This is one of my favorite parts. He says, I don't mean to scare you, sis, but have another look. One of them is staring straight into our picture book.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
The illustrations are amazing.
thank you. So that'll get the kids thinking, and a little bit of a laugh from the parent who's
Yep.
reading it with them, because we think of our kids as monsters, right?
There are moments. There are moments, yes.
Sometimes. So he's confused, and finally his daddy brother tells him, you're just afraid of the light. So, like kids are afraid of the dark, but he's afraid of the light. So his uncle and his aunt, they help out in turning off the light. But then he realizes, there's one more thing that needs to be done. So he takes it upon himself to close the curtains. And then he says, so now I sleep in darkness. I'm sure that you do too, because he's assuming everyone wants to sleep in the dark.
Right?
So hopefully that'll get kids to embrace the dark, right?
I love it.
He says, that's because there's no such thing as children who scream.
Boo!
And then they all come out, but he's sleeping happily.
And it's all good.
It's all good. And he says that my home is full of loved ones. I say it with a grin. And though we are peculiar, I love my creepy kin.
I also love my creepy kin, so I have something in common with your little monster there in Fright. What a great book. So tell me about the illustrations and the illustrator.
Yeah, so my illustrator, I found her through Recipient.com, which is a great resource. And she's based in London, so it was a little bit slow going back and forth, trying to communicate. She sketched things out. She gave me several options in which direction we should go.
That's amazing. So you've never met her?
I have never seen her in real life. I hope someday to go to London and meet her. She was wonderful to work with.
What a neat way to make a book. Judy De Young is the author of Fright. Great kids book aimed at what age group? Would you say kindergartners?
Well, I would say probably 3, 4, 5 years old. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And the book, of course, you can ask for by name. That's Fright. It's about a little monster who's afraid of the daylight. So it's all kind of flipped and backwards, and I guess reviews are pretty darn good for this book, right?
They are.
How
They
about
are.
that? Now, are any of the words a little too advanced?
Yeah, so most of the reviews have been great. I've gotten a couple of people saying that there are a few words in here that are too much for a children's book.
And
but-
what say you to that?
Well, I want to push back on that.
Atta girl, that's what we like.
Because, okay, I'm going to give you an example.
Please
Like,
do.
underneath my bed they hide, check inside the closet. There's no such thing as children, my ghostly grandma posits. So, posits, probably your child hasn't heard of the word posit. But how do we learn about new words? That's part of the reason that we read is to learn new words. Even as an adult, if I'm reading a book, I might come across a word I don't know, so I look it up.
That's right.
So,
That's why God made Google, Judy.
yes, thank you.
Fright, Like Fright is the children's book by Judy De Young. She's hanging out in San Diego. That's where we're broadcasting, by the way, for the American Library Association's annual conference. So if there's noise in the background, that's because there's, roughly speaking, 1 billion book people around us right now.
Roughly.
Roughly 1 billion. I didn't use a clicker or counter, but they're everywhere. And some of them are walking by the broadcast pavilion right now, and they're staring at us while they eat chocolate and they're not sharing. I really appreciate that.
How dare they?
How dare they? When you're not writing children's books like Life Fright, where it's like Bizarro World and everything is up is down, down is up, what else do you do?
Well, right now, I am doing some contract work for a company that makes a coding robot for early learners around ages 4, 5, 6. I create the games and activities for them to play around with this coding robot. And
Oh, cool.
they learn like basic concepts of coding, which is really fun.
How do you get into a little person's head, whether you're writing a children's book or doing this coding robot for kids? How do you do that?
Oh my gosh. Well, I used to run a program, an after-school program at a Montessori preschool where it was called Pre-K Pre-Code. And you would be amazed at how much children who are 4 and 5 years old can understand the basic concepts of coding. Like just telling them, this robot does not have a brain, but you do. So if we want this robot to move around this map from here to here, we need to tell it in exactly the right sequence what the directions are. And they understand things like loops and functions and conditional statements. It's really very cool.
My iPhone got locked a couple of days ago and couldn't figure out how to unlock it. Fortunately, there was a 3-year-old nearby who had no problem. The 3-year-old can instruct you on the iPhone. They know what to do. Hey, what do you want? Is there a message that you would like little kids to get out of this book? Or maybe whether it's read to them or whether they're old enough to read it themselves. Is there a message there?
I would, number one, I would like them to use their imaginations. And it's interesting because last night Trevor Noah spoke, right?
Sure,
A few
the Daily
people
Show.
were there,
Yeah.
And he talked about using imagination and also using it to see things from someone else's perspective.
Huge.
So I thought about that with my book. I think it's an opportunity for children to think, well, if there were such a thing as a monster, what would they be afraid of? And here I am, a child. I might be afraid of monsters, hopefully not, but some are. And just look at it from the opposite perspective, and that's what we want for our kids, right? To be able to grow up thinking that way and seeing things from someone else's point of view.
See, I thought for sure when I asked you what you wanted kids to get out of that book was buy 10 more copies, but you did not. Did not go down that route, so good for you.
Tell all your friends.
That's right. Tell all your friends, parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles to pick up Light Fright. Speaking of which, where would you recommend people find the book?
They can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, all the major retailers.
And I bet you probably have a whole box in your trunk. Maybe if you see on the streets of San Diego, pull you over, flag you down, and get a copy of Light Fright.
Yes.
Where do you make your home? Where's home?
I live in Sarasota, Florida right now.
Sarasota, Florida, where currently, and I know this because I flew out of camp yesterday, it's like 95 degrees and 80% humidity, right? Did it feel good when you got here yesterday?
It did. It's so beautiful here. No humidity. I love it.
San Diego, stay classy. We love you. And Judy De Young, we love you too. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. This is really nice.
It's a lovely children's book. It's called Light Fright, and it's about a little monster who's a little nervous about the lights. Maybe like little kids are afraid of the dark, so you kind of twist that and flip it on its side, and you get Light Fright. Beautiful illustrations too. If you have a young reader, highly recommended. For our guest, Judy De Young, I'm Burke Allen. We're live in San Diego. It's the American Library Association's annual conference and exhibition with the Podcast Pavilion. Thanks, Speaker Match, for sponsoring the show. Thanks to the Headline Books and Zoom Into Books. And thank you for listening. We have brand new episodes every Tuesday of the Big Time Talker podcast, always right here. Wherever you go, whatever you do today, make it a great day. For Judy De Young, I'm Burke Allen. Thanks for listening. Bye, everybody.